How to Crochet brought to you by Mabel and Moji. This is a 3-part easy guide to teach you everything about crochet. By watching and learning from all 3 videos, you'll probably know most of what there is to know. I promise. This is part 1, the overview. Watch parts 2 and 3 to practice your motor skills and techniques. Here's what you need, the requirements. Natural skills. First, you must have hands. Next, you must be able to count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You must also have simple spatial raising skills, like knowing what is above, on, or under. Although, not to worry, you'll probably develop more of that as you progress along, which is a good reason to start crocheting. Now for tools and materials, you will need yarn and a crochet hook, that is all. Other tools will be nice to have, such as the measuring tape, cutter, darning needles, stitch markers, and yarn holder. But these tools could be improvised if you're just starting out, like using scissors you already have, or hairpins as stitch markers. What you need to know about yarns and hooks is that they come in different sizes. For yarn, that is also known as the yarn weight, which relates to the thickness of the yarn. It will be written on the label. Because yarns come in so many different materials and variations, yarn weight is usually a category and not a strict science. Many yarn weight charts are found online for you to get an idea. I recommend going to your local store to have a feel of the yarns to figure out what you want to work with and get the correct yarn weight that's indicated in your pattern. How would you know what size hook or yarn to choose? That depends on the pattern you're making. A gauge is usually included in the pattern, which is a test square 10 cm by 10 cm you can make before starting a project to determine if your stitches are too loose or too tight, or if you need to switch to a different crochet hook. When your stitch number is smaller than indicated in the gauge, that means you have wider gaps, and you could adjust to a smaller hook for tighter stitches. And vice versa. It is important to ensure that you have the correct hook and tension so that your final work comes out the right size. If you're making something you're designing from scratch, you could also look at the label of the yarn on what hook sizes are the most suitable. Now let's look at yarns. Here are the yarns that are tricky for beginners. Metallic, stiff. Polyester, too stiff. Loose and twisted, harder to grab. Furry, can't see stitch gaps. Plus the color bright white prevents you from seeing your stitches easily. And what yarn is favorable, you might ask? Go for a yarn that's comfortable and not too thin. That could mean ideally a good quality cotton, bamboo, or acrylic blend from a name brand. As for crochet hooks, let me tell you that they come in so many different sizes, from micro to jumbo. When you're just starting, you do not need to go out and buy every hook since you are only using one at a time. If you like, get a good quality Japanese hook, as crochet hooks could last you a lifetime. But I started with 3 crochet hooks and they are just fine to the result, even though they might be slightly less smooth to work with. Now we're going to talk about patterns, where to find them. Stitch libraries are different stitch combinations. And there are also stitch patterns with complete ready-made items to follow along to. Both could be found in print, such as books or magazines, or digital on platforms such as YouTube, Etsy, Ravelry, Ko-fi, etc. All you have to do is search. You could also click on the link below for my crochet patterns to help support this channel. Now let's talk about blocking. Blocking is to reshape the yarn fibers, such as in a wearable clothing or blanket, through the use of water or steam. You may do this when required, as not everything needs blocking. I've only done this a few times, usually when the final work comes out of shape or a little smaller than desired. To do your wet blocking, add a tiny splash of shampoo and vinegar to some lukewarm water and soak your work. Then remove and gently wring out the excess water. Now you could roll it out in a towel, or I like to use a rubber mat with pins to secure the correct shape of the yarn. Leave it to dry and that is it. For steam blocking, run a steam iron on your dry crochet work hung on a hanger. Gently tug at the edges as you do this. Be careful as you may accidentally overstretch your work. This method is more unreliable than wet blocking, but useful if you are in a hurry. We're now at the end of the video. Keep on watching the next video to begin crocheting. Thank you for watching and happy crocheting!